Welcome to 1 Million Cups, Metro Detroit.
Good. And now that whole weird part's not on there. So hooray. All right. Well, I'm going to start sharing my screen here, but I really do want to say a huge thank you to all of my friends who showed up this morning. I literally texted just a couple of you this morning. So I super appreciate you coming. So, and I know that you're going to find this funny, but it is super true. And for those of you who know me, I get really nervous about public speaking. And this is one of the things I want to do in the future. So we're going to start my slideshow. Let's see, I'm going to change my view so I cannot see any of you. All right, so you guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So welcome this morning to 1 Million Cups, Metro Detroit. My name is Melissa Wilson, and I established the business Pathway X Events in 2018 with Sarah Cook, who is here with us today and is currently just on the advisory board. And I established this business after 20 years of event planning on all different levels, of going from weddings to coordinating vendor shows and conferences to ending up finding my happy spot, my niche spot, and that is working with workforce development events and outreach events. But a problem that I noticed in the industry allowed us to be able to create Pathway X as a viable business. So I've been in business for 3 years, although last year was quite slow, as you'll see here in just a moment. So at Pathway X, we are really doing something great in the industry. We are on a mission to impact construction companies, specifically from the point of view where construction companies can showcase what they do to young people in middle and high school. And we do that through our signature event, Build It Construction. So what is Build It Construction? Build It Construction is an event that we have designed and kind of curated and piloted to make sure that it works, and it does. And it is a coalition of 5 to 8 different companies in the industry. Sometimes we also use industry trainers like operating engineers who are here today, and they send people to us so we can set up individual stations for kids to come visit on a field trip and experience the basic skills that you need to get into construction. So here's some pictures of some of the things that we've done most recently. We have plumbers and pipe fitters come and electricians come. We break the kids up into small groups and they rotate through these stations, experiencing hands-on activities that will hopefully inspire them to consider construction as a career. We also introduce them to drone pilots. I think, I have a total misspelling right there, so pretend you didn't see that one. We also introduce them to drone pilots, and we bring in safety to each one of the stations so that the kids have a basic working knowledge that it is all about safety in the construction industry. So we implement the plan, Pathway X, through our event, Build It Construction, and we make it fun. One of the things we incorporate into the Build It Construction platform through Pathway X is a ball pit. So when our first event occurred, we worked with an architect company who drew out these designs with us, and we had 2 ball pit piles of material. One of them we pre-built just before the event started, and then the other one was built as our kids rotated through the stations. And this is the one that the young man is in here in the picture. And we use the ball pit at the event as a conversation station. So often when young kids, middle school, high school kids start to get into hands-on experiences, some of them are nervous and stand back, and some of them are jumping right in to do the activities. We utilize the ball pit for the people who seem to be kind of standing in the back a little bit, and we ask them to jump in and we ask them some key questions that usually become either testimonials for us or testimonials for the company they might mention that is at the event. But everybody loves the ball pit. So why are we doing this? 80% of construction companies right now that are in operation right now have said that they do not have enough in their labor workforce to complete their projects. And the result of this, which has been happening for the last 18 months, is that 44% of them are increasing their rates for how for what they have to. They're increasing the rates so that they can cover overtime and extra hours for the staffing that they have now. 42, that is the average age of a construction worker. Some are actually between 38 and 42, which is fairly old. And one of the big issues that have happened in the industry is that there's been a big gap in the last 20 years of young people actually going into the industry. So now you have this older workforce and then a very much younger workforce and nobody in between. So we're really trying to gain some attention with the construction industry. And this is also an issue. 30% of young people, this was a survey from 2005 to 2018, 30% of young people are choosing not to go into construction. So what Pathway X is doing is we are a professional event company. That's what we do. And we believe that we are the link. We believe that we are the link between the construction companies and the coalitions that already exist that are trying to get the attention of schools and young people to consider them as an industry. And we are also the link to the schools themselves, helping guidance counselors, teachers, and students to see that this is a viable career path and you don't necessarily have to go to college first to come into the construction industry. You get training when you're on the job, and the training is almost always paid training. So if you go the apprenticeship route, you're also going to get benefits. And if you go just to the construction company and start out at 18 years old, you're going to get the benefits of working with that company as well. So what we have figured out is that there are two major results that come from producing these types of events. One, you bring awareness to the industry, to the young people, and thereby also with the guidance counselors, teachers, parents, anyone who shows up as chaperones to this event. We turn our chaperones into group leaders, so they're pretty active in the event. And then we also work on the construction side and we help create the workforce of the future. So Lee Graham, who's with us today, I hope you see that you recognize that piece of equipment and that guy up there in the gab. So how do we do this? We are teaching construction companies how to produce these events themselves. So this picture was taken at the Construction Science Expo at the Science Center. I'm only bringing that up because there's a couple Science Center folks here with us today. And in this picture, I was actually touring a group around the event itself so we could drop them off at their volunteer stations. So when a company decides that they want to invest in Build It Construction and make that event something that they can do in their community with their schools and with their local partners, we would come in and teach them how to do that. Hold on, next slide. These actually are some of our partners. I dropped some of it's not even all of them, but I dropped a bunch of the logos in here just to show you some of the places that we have already done events with and who we also support through contracted services. And a bunch of these folks are with us today, so thank you guys for coming in. So we have 3 packages that Pathway X sells in relation specifically to the Build It Construction package or Build It Construction event. We can create the event for you from scratch and walk you all the way through it, have a few of your team members there to make sure you know how to do it. So create it from scratch is one route, one package you could buy, or we can just collaborate with you. If you believe that you already have an event that is in the works, we can come in and we can show you how the tools that we've found can work for you. Or we can just come in and consult on any workforce development events that you are already doing that involve youth. That's where we have our experience, and that's where our happy joy spot is. So thank you very much for paying attention today, guys. That is my presentation. But as you know, we're at 1 million cups, and 1 million cups, what we do here is we ask our community for help. So a couple of the questions that I have for you guys, if you can think about this, is one, I am looking to make connections with companies and schools for speaking opportunities. So I do have a few communities that we work in. I have connections through our construction companies, but I could always use more because the real goal for Pathway X is not to be a giant outreach event. It's to be a smaller niche event where 6, 7, 8 companies can work together and create an annual event and invite their local schools so that you can get a bridge built between those schools and those companies. So if you know any construction companies that would love to consider trying to do these outreach events, I would love to have the opportunity to talk with them at any of their programs. And even if it's not related to Pathway X, I would like to just share with them why outreach events like this need to happen. And then the other ask is, how can I, as a company, as a business, effectively show investors that this effort is worth the time and the money that they would put into it? And that's the end of my presentation. And this is how you can contact me.
So if people have comments or questions, they can either put them in the chat or just come off mute and just ask them out loud. And while we're doing that, just a note, I'm going to throw up a couple of polls that we need to take to do some housekeeping for 1 Million Cups headquarters. But I'm going to try not to interrupt the flow of comments and questions. Melissa, can I ask a question? Just to because this was great. I have a real clear idea of what you're doing. Must it be construction? I mean, for example, my wife and I just had work done, appliance work done, and in talking to the guy who was fantastic, who came and was working on our unnamed appliance. He said, I'm getting out of this. I'm one of the older guys doing this, and younger people are just not coming into the appliance repair business, which is desperately needed, either working for the companies or working for appliance companies, appliance repair places. They're just not coming in. So it struck me that, especially in the, this kind of pre-post within COVID environment, we've got a whole cohort of young people who are not getting into these trades.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason I'm leaning into this part of event planning and professional event work, because those students aren't aware of it. They don't learn about it in school. They learn about the career pathways that are leading through college usually. So Lee, you probably can speak on that, what he's saying.
Well, I just wanted to be able to share that just our experience. I'm the executive director for our labor management division with the operating engineers, and our organization's 124 years old, and we do, construction. But the truth of the matter is, with these events, partnered with Melissa, when we list like the Michigan Construction Career Days statewide event, it's the largest hands-on 7th grade through 12th grade event imaginable. And so without Pathway X, it's not going, because of just how we're able to continue to brand and the run a show and everything that Pathway X allows us to pull off an event like that. So this has been our 16th year. And then I moved to another one with the Construction Science Expo. A couple of the pictures Melissa had shared, we celebrated our 10th anniversary. But going back to the Construction Career Days, this year we ended up pulling it off virtually, and it was one of the coolest events that we've ever done, only for the fact that we were able to attract the students through a gamification path. And if it wasn't for us having Pathway X supporting us and allowing us to connect with different virtual platform partners, we would have never experienced what we did just recently. Our biggest opportunity that we've seen is the fact that it's one thing to go and explore an event, do the hands-on and get all excited, and then what happens next. And so Pathway X has been able to help us as an industry be able to create that next step. It's like, next thing you know, we have this, pre-apprenticeship readiness that they sign up for and get the experience during the summer weeks, which we call Detroit Workforce of the Future. It's a 11th and 12th grade program that we get to with the associations and the contractors. Really let the students explore, kind of get in the car and drive around and see if they like it, because if we can't show them that, then, where are they headed to one industry? So we've been very blessed that way, because then their next opportunity is to step into a professional trade registered apprenticeship for their next 35 years. So that's my testimony, because what we've experienced, not only with that, with the Michigan Apprenticeship Steering Committee across the state, with Pathway X, Melissa has been able to let others know regionally and all the way up through the Upper Peninsula of what opportunities are out there. And my last thing I'm going to end on is the fact that not only is it 7th to 12th grade, where we've gone from seniors all the way down to like they were stopping, a handful of years ago at 10th, we've gone to 7th grade. But the truth of the matter is, we've been doing events with kindergarten through 5th grade. So you talk about fun, where you got the scientists and we wheel in our heavy equipment simulators, you got to kneel down to talk to the kids. And so it's really been amazing. And so I can just say from our end, on the partnership side, it's truly made a world of difference, because the students today, they want to see it all, whether it's robotics and different opportunities that we're partnering with to show them what we do in our construction industry, which is really cool. So
Yeah,
thank you.
Lee. Yeah, thanks, Lee. So, I mean, I'm just going to throw in that I had this in my presentation, but I didn't end up including it, which is that we not only do we see and experience the like excitement and interest of the kids that are checking out these different things about construction, carpentry, electricians, drone flying, all that stuff. You can probably hear from Lee that we also engage the business side. Like when we set up these events and people come to visit, the people that are manning the actual activity center just get reinvigorated, and they feel a lot of joy that they can share their career and their pathway choice and their trade with the students that come in there. So it's a real feel good place. Let me tell you. Right, does anyone else have any questions?
I had a question. So great presentation, Melissa. I worked in construction. I may have mentioned it in my presentation, but I worked in construction for about 15 years as a journeyman.
You did not.
I still am a journeyman electrician. I don't do much electrical work anymore, but I worked in construction for 15 years, and I think this is much needed because construction industry is looking for a lot of people. I know for a fact that there's a lot of older workers in the industry, and they need some younger blood. My brain's kind of swirling right now, so forgive me if this question doesn't sound super formulated, but from an investment standpoint, when you create these events, I'm assuming that the attendees do not pay. It's a free to attend event, so the students just come and attend. Mm-hmm. That's funded by the companies. So as an investor, how would the investor make their money back? I guess is the question.
That is a good question. So, and that's like the one of my asks for the community. So it's a long haul. It's what's that called? The long haul, right? You have to plan for the future. Yeah. But when a company invests in this as a sponsorship or sometimes just as a donation, so we can actually produce the events and bring in some of the people that it would take to make the event flow and work appropriately. We also help with marketing and writing blogs and doing any kind of e-newsletter stuff that you might need on the back end to say how you participated in this. And we also help you market it on the front end. I believe that the investment is really more in the outreach. It's in the industry, right? So companies that are coming in are being able to say that they've done their part to be able to help inspire young kids to start to take this career path. And the benefit is that we have a mix of ages that come to the events. We open it up to the schools to allow, whatever age group they want to come in. We target certain age groups, but we limit the amount of students that can come, so that there is a lot of one-on-one in each of the activity stations. And if we happen to have students that are there at 15, 16, 17 years old, and they're realizing they don't want to go the college path, that they want to get into construction, they reach back out to their guidance counselor or their teacher and then connect them to me. And then I try to connect them to the construction industry. So as I move through this next year, I'll be partnering with a staffing agency so that they can help me manage that piece, because I'm an event professional, not a staffing agency. And I love to produce the events and I love to pass those people on, but that's a lot of side work. So I want to have a group that, if anyone knows a specifically focused on construction agency, I'd be happy to make some connections.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Thank you. And also I just wanted to say too, I'd love to talk more about developing a electrical activity station and manning it. That'd be kind of fun. Even though I don't want to work.
Is Sarah Cook still here?
I would love to do that.
Lee, did you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I just want to comment, because what we found in our return on investment is that our most special time is when we do the grad piece after the apprenticeship readiness program or pre-apprenticeship program, that 16-week program. When they're standing up there and we've got our employers that are in the construction industry, basically they're handpicking which individual that they want to come join their company. So they're putting on this construction vest with their name on, right? And then we're having the operating engineer's hard hat on. So that's like their signing day. So we've had, a lot of good legislators, attend, and it's been a special, even during the pandemic, the parents stood outside their cars outside, and it was just truly moving. I mean, because it was like, here they are going into this industry, right? They just graduated as seniors, and before that, they've had other thoughts in their minds, just like all kids do. And so that's probably our most special time. It's just like one at a time, it's like just being able to see them be that excited and really go do it. And then the cool part too is that we've been able to, capture the videos of them, like their first year, right, building in the city of Detroit, for one example. and then continue to use those videos, just as we're showcasing the other students, and
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so Lee is an investor in this. Obviously, you can tell he's just as passionate about it as I am, but we do have quite a few other business partners that invest. And so that's why I feel really confident that Pathway X can begin to expand like our reach beyond our known groups, that I have companies that can validate that these outreach events are really important. But I need to reach out to the companies that are willing to do the outreach, that are willing to help their industry as a whole, and at the same time become a name that student might know and recognize when they get ready to come in the industry.
Right. That's awesome. Well done, Melissa.
Thank
Melissa,
you.
does it make sense to, I mean, what Lee was saying, does it make sense to reach out to government? I mean, to state government? I would think that building the sector, I'm talking about for investment, for grants to.
Well, I'm not a nonprofit, so there's that big thing. And Sarah, who's here with us, we did a ton of research on being a nonprofit. And then, we worked with Charlie and Shannon and a lot of other friends at the Science Center. We really understand the nonprofit aspect, but I would still like to have enough control over the decisions that are being made that I'd like to have an advisory committee versus an advisory board that I'm required to manage with a grant. I have tried the grant route before, but I just want to keep rolling and try and produce this product that I can sell to the companies so that the companies then can take it on their own. Like, I'm not looking to necessarily be a grant funded company. I'm looking to create, get this product, this event design out to as many different communities as I can so that they can do the grassroots effort and kind of open up those side doors into unique ways of hiring. Does that make sense?
I think we lost him.
It does make sense.
But I have a question. Do you know the companies that sign up for the sponsorships, do you know where their budget is coming from? Are they taking it out of a marketing budget or an outreach program budget, or, from their human resources department? Do you know where that money's coming from when they typically sponsor?
I personally think it can come out of any one of those areas you just said, but can you tell us where you guys pull for MITA, the Michigan Infrastructure and Transportation Association? Because you're a construction association, right?
Yes. Yeah. So MITA is the Michigan Infrastructure and Transportation Association, representing road builders and bridge builders across the state. We bring money in through a number of different ways. We have golf outings. We obviously have the contractors that pay a fee per year to be a part of MITA. So, there's that pool of money. And I, as the director of workforce development, I have a certain amount of funds that I can just use at my discretion. So as I see fit and there's a need for a particular program, the money comes out. For the companies that are involved with a lot of these programs, and what Melissa does a tremendous job at a couple of different aspects. Number one, she's extremely passionate about what she's doing, and I think that showed in her presentation. But the other thing is, you get all these people at the table, and that's the only way that we can make some of these programs work. Lee and I have had plenty of conversations about this, that we have companies, we have associations, we have unions, all sitting at the table. And Melissa is able to kind of hone down on, the important things and keep us on task, because a lot of us, just like everybody, has a number of different programs and things on their plate. So she does a good job doing that. But the companies at the table, a lot of them are large companies, some of the biggest construction companies in the state. What we try to explain to the students and people in our programs are the opportunities. It's not a job, it's a career. And again, those companies have a good amount of discretionary income that they can spend on programs like this. It's just convincing them that they're just one of a number of companies that are sitting at the table vying for these people. But we've been able to make it through the years in a lot of our programs as more of a friendly competition. Like when there's a rising star in one of our programs, you can see the companies kind of going, oh, that's mine. And Ajax says no. And Cadillac says, I'm going after that person. So that's the opportunity there.
Yeah, it's so great that that's starting to happen in the construction industry, that we can see in Michigan when we're putting on those smaller cohorts, that it's the same as like colleges, pushing for a student, or someone at a job fair pushing. So, but that's not what we're doing at Pathway X. We're going for the small event, but spreading it far and wide.
And for us, with the operators, it comes out of our labor management education fund. So we have a cents per hour that's allocated every year, right, throughout our membership. And so we're able to generate those funds, and we use them towards like the American Cancer Society Big Dig, or Pathway X, or just different opportunities that we're able to sponsor that way. So that's where we pull our money from for that event. Yep.
Yeah, and I know from working at the Science Center too, that there's different aspects of educational budgets, hiring with HR, and Mike, I think we talked about this when you were helping coach me last night. The marketing budgets tend to be the big giant budget. So if you can, so we do work with the marketing departments because we want them to get something out of this event. We don't want it to be just a one-off and the few people you sent there got to experience it. We want them to know that it can be showcased in advance. It could be shown that your company is making an effort to fulfill the pipeline. And then we share pictures and things that are happening during the event. And then we do post-event, all to kind of benefit the marketing of that company, that individual company.
And the cool thing, it's kind of like competition, right? It's like each of the employers, like Melissa says, has an HR, they've got a branding group, who can set up the best booth, right? Who can wow the students the most, or the adults, when it comes to, apprenticeship readiness and stuff like that. So each of these events each year that are, helped and managed by Pathway X, it's just like we keep adding on to like, what's the next opportunity, or what can we, do differently. But that's the part that we get to see. Cause like, even with us, with all the trades, it's all the time it's on, right, for competition. But so to give the kids the best experience, at least.
Operating engineers 324, were you going to say something? You came off mute.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Travis. Just to kind of give some perspective from like the teaching standpoint, I just finished up my student teaching at Kersley High School in Flint. And a lot of the side conversations I had with students, a majority of them were interested in going into the trades after school, or they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do. Versus, when I was in high school, most of us wanted to go to college, which is why we have that gap, like you were talking about, Melissa. But it's just really cool to see a program like this. It was my first year to get to see it in action, and to create that hype and excitement, and to see the look on the kids' faces and stuff. It was pretty awesome. And kids, at least my students, like I said, the ones who weren't quite sure what they wanted to do, it's programs that like this that show them there are alternatives to college. And I'm just thinking, the time to strike would probably be now, because you have all these students that are interested in the trades versus when I was going to school. Not to mention you have STEM programs across the country that they're increasing their funding. It's becoming the focal point for schools. So that's, science, technical skills, math. And to see these type of career paths for them, they're like, oh, well, how can I use the stuff I'm learning in science? You have a career fair like this, they're able to recognize it, but that's just kind of my 2 cents from the education side. So.
Melissa, I have a quick question for you.
Okay, you, Lisa.
Sorry, Lisa. This will be quick. So one of your asks was how to get into school districts. At what level do you engage a district? Is it at the school board level, or is it individual schools? Who are you trying to meet? Is it a principal or a school board?
That's a great question. So we do already we already know how to get into school districts. There's a lot of different ways to do that depending on the school district. So smaller school districts, you can go right to the guidance counselors, and then they most often push you back to the principal to say, hey, is this a field trip that we can do? And okay. What we try to provide back to the principal is, again, marketing information for the newsletter to say, hey, we did this field trip with Pathway X, and we got to allow our students to experience what the construction pathway is like, construction career pathway, because in smaller school districts, there's not always a lot of spaces where they can go to the career technical schools for half a day. Then there's larger school districts where I try to get to the principal and tell them what we're doing. And then the principal basically says to the guidance counselor office or their career counselor office, work with Pathway X. We're going to do this field trip. Make sure you give her, whatever amount of kids whatever amount of slots from their school that were being offered. And I then end up coaching the guidance counselors to try to get specific teachers to be the group leaders, because they're the ones that are going to influence the students that show up.
Okay. So
that's
yes, you're looking for introductions to
school district.
middle school and high school guidance counselors, principals, maybe even teachers is what I heard. Okay, thank you.
That's right. So anybody that has a friend or a colleague or kid goes to a particular school, if you think that you want them to experience this type of field trip, those are the introductions I'm looking to create. Because once I get into one school, like I'll say, Ferndale is where we've been piloting the program, we can then expand just into the immediate, side communities, Oak Park and Hazel Park. And then that small group becomes the target area for those construction companies 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line to ask about job shadowing, or is there anything else they can do to speak to the students who got to experience a hands-on event like this one. So we try to create these like clusters of good groups. So Lisa Kolonowski, did you have a question?
I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations, great presentation. I've actually volunteered at many of your events, and I just wanted to say from an educator perspective that one of the things I thought was really important was the feedback that you get after the event from the students, because I know that we're talking a lot about like how the businesses feel after the event, but what I thought was really important was what the students felt and what the parents felt and how you really connected to them to make sure that they were aware. Because as any of us that have children know, sometimes our kids participate in things and they come home and it was like, how was school? Things were great. This is, well, how was your field trip? It was fine. But they aren't always sharing the passion and the excitement of something that they interacted with. So I thought that was really great on the volunteer part of it, that we got to find out that you did a lot of feedback with the students and that you reached out to the families so that they knew that that was also a pathway. Because a lot of times counselors are really busy at schools and they don't have like the time maybe to reach out to the 150 parents that you interacted with their students and say, hey, your kid went to this event and it was really great. And we found that they were really interested in the plumbing industry. They really were engaged. They stayed at that station a lot. They kept going back there. They asked a lot of questions. And if the counselors aren't even at the event, they might not know that either. And I thought that was really beneficial for like the students to have you reach out to the families and say, hey, we did some feedback during our event and we saw that your students really interested in this, just to give them a conversation and a stepping off point so that they could say, hey, are you, I heard you were really down, you were into this. And it just gives them like another avenue to open up and another place for the student to have like a support team besides just like their counselor. And I just thought that was a really important aspect. And I just wanted to share that part of it.
Thanks for that, Lisa. I did not put that in the presentation. So that's one of the niche things that makes Pathway X events, working with our company and then producing the Build It construction platform, is that it's not a free for all. It's not a run on out and check out all the activities. Now, Lee, I'm not busting on the ones we work on together, but there's like thousands of students at that. What I'm trying to do is see if we can get these companies and schools to partner so they can recognize who their hands-on learners are together. So a construction company will recognize that this one kid participated in 6 stations, and every one of the trades will be like, oh my God, did you see this one kid? Did you see this one kid? And then I can go back to the school and say to the guidance counselor, this kid is a hands-on learner, right? And then I ask them if they can connect with their parent, the parent of that student, so they know that too. And so Lisa's saying a good testimonial, because I have been walking around Ferndale and met with parents who said, oh my gosh, you're the one that helped create that field trip. My kid hasn't stopped talking about it for 2 weeks. So I know it's needed. So one of my questions is, does anyone have any ideas on how to get out there in a better way than what I'm doing?
Have you reached out to like Oakland schools? Because I know I don't know all of the different communities and like different counties and things like that. But like for Oakland schools, have you reached out to them to see if they can put you in contact with schools that would like fit that better for you? Because I know in Ferndale it works really well because you have a relationship with a lot of people here. And so like that works really well. But to reach out even further, is there a way that Oakland schools, because maybe it doesn't work the best in certain communities because they are a hard push for the college, stepping stone next, but is there a way for you to go, or like OTech, like the technical schools? Like, I don't know how much you've reached out to those kind of places, because I think that those might be an in for you as well.
Yeah, the career technical schools are having a really hard time right now. They are really trying to get back up on their feet. So that's a great reminder, Lisa, that I should reach right back out to my contacts, the career technical schools, to see if there's anything that we can do to help get that rolling. And that's actually, as the operating engineers who are on here and Ken from MITA are on here, that's the target audience. Those are students who are already self-selecting to go into those types of, different career paths. So yeah, I could definitely prioritize reaching out to them and beginning to set up these field trips.
And also, there's it, like at the community college level, I would think that they might even be able to help you like reach out to like who connects with them and some of their like trade like classes and things. Like maybe they say we get a lot of kids from a certain district, or we get a lot of kids from a certain community. Maybe that would be a way to help. I don't really know how else, but I did just start recently teaching in Fraser. So, I definitely will connect you with the Fraser counselors and the principals that I work with at the high school and the middle school. So I definitely will do that for you, because I think that there's definitely a need there, and they would really appreciate having something like this. So we'll definitely connect on that.
Okay, thanks, Lisa.
Absolutely.
So I see my friend Lily has asked here, she's in Virginia, if I have a plan to expand. So what do you guys think? Should I expand? Should I just stick with Michigan? I would like it.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to replicate. I mean, if you have a model, maybe you need to develop the model, into something that can then be either you do it or franchise it. I mean, there have got to be steps you can take.
Stephen.
No, it's not that. No, I'm not saying franchise. I'm just using as an overarching thing, but there's got every state, every region has the same issue. Mm-hmm. So if you have a solution, it seems like it's not a no-brainer, but it's a lot of effort, but it seems clear that it's replicatable. Earlier I was asking about getting the state support, and then my Wi-Fi went off, so forgive me. But I know that, the state of Michigan has run programs about dealing with and this is 10, 15 years ago, dealing with the issue of the push to get kids into college as opposed to into trades. And so I know there has already been a great deal of time, effort, money spent in this state, and I would guess in other states, to try to deal with that issue. And if this program is helping to do that, I don't know why you couldn't take it elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the plan. I'd like to do Michigan and Virginia first, just because I'm originally from Virginia. That's where I'm presenting from today, on our Metro Detroit chapter. I said the franchise thing because there's quite a few people who do see this as a franchise opportunity. So a couple of post steps to selling the Build It Construction package is that I also hope to influence and connect with new event planners or newbie event planners, or people who are early stage event planners, so that I can help train them a little bit with my 20 years of experience and a ton of different styles of events. And I just love doing them. They're just, you have to have a talent to not be able to, this like innate talent, not to be able to freak out about issues happening. And the more people I can kind of get to join an event planning unmasked membership, that I will be able to have a kind of a group of people who I can put into the events that we're creating with Build It Construction and let them, get their feet wet with it. So once they've gone through our training. So I'm hoping to expand that way. So if I can get that rolling in Michigan or beyond, or just like nationwide, then I can start in those communities dropping Build It Construction as an opportunity to help expand in construction. And the other thing you might be able to hear, and this is that this is a model for recruitment in a way, a good way to do recruitment, and it can be done in manufacturing. We have done a Make It Manufacturing events. We hoped to do it in healthcare and also in energy and then IT. And Joe, Joe Licavoli, who's back, I think when we were coaching yesterday, you had your wheels spinning that I could produce this type of an event for a series of IT companies to have people skip the college route and go right into the company. Maybe you were thinking that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of work in apprenticeship on the IT side so that you can dig right in, as opposed to, having to get your computer science degree and then learn on the job. The other thing is I'm involved with Farmington Hills public school system as well, that I think this could really be beneficial to expose folks up. So stay tuned on that. We're
which in Farmington?
Yeah, in Farmington Public Schools.
Yeah, is that
Both
where you Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I live in Farmington Hills, so I've been involved in them, and they're doing a few interesting things locally that are just starting to come together. So we're gonna probably need your help for the next school year, not necessarily this year, but definitely next year.
Well, I think you might have heard Lee say earlier, we did an event that was all virtual. So if there's virtual events happening, I'm familiar with several platforms, and not just like Zoom and Microsoft, but other platforms that do virtual interactive events. And we also, Pathway X helped produce the Construction Science Expo this year that was done in a studio. So we had people come in and record their pieces and then tie it all together and make a sizzle reel that will allow them to be used, allow that little snippet of it to be used everywhere to help promote the industry. So I also have experience doing, I guess, broadcasted events.
Well, so one more question I have, and sorry if I missed this earlier, but do you offer like some sort of certification? Like when kids come to your event and they participate in the whole thing, can you give them something at the end of it that says, I participated in this?
Wouldn't that be awesome? So there's two things I can share with the group. One, there's something called educational badges, BADGES. And those are like certifications, like if a kid goes to a summer science camp, they can register with the state, this like badge. My name is so-and-so, and in the summer of 2021, I went to this camp and I got this badge. It's not, and then when they graduate from high school, there's like supposedly going to be this database of all the things that you did, but it's not really functioning super well. I'm in close contact with the Michigan Department of Education consistently on those badges for students. They're called digital badges. What we've decided to do is go the guidance counselor route. So what I can do, and what I have done for some of the larger events I've worked on, is set up I call it Learn It Construction, because that's the one we're doing. And then I set up a track or professional development accredited track for guidance counselors and career counselors. So we're doing that right now for Construction Science Expo. We did that for the career days that Lee was talking about, where we were able to create enough valuable content for the guidance counselors and teachers as they observed and participated in the event, that it would qualify for professional development hours. So the state of Michigan has mandated 25 hours for guidance counselors and career counselors for professional development every year. So they have to gain those hours and making sure they're aware of all kinds of career pathways. And we're trying to make it the easiest pathway for them to gain 1 to 5 hours of, they're called sketch hours, sketchies. And so that's another thing I know how to do. And that's why I think this type of an event, that would be like if someone was to buy into Build It Construction and start their first year or their second year, that would be like a module that I would add on. All right, are you ready to try something new? Are you ready to try the event we've been doing that you're more comfortable with now? Can we add on bringing in guidance counselors and have them kind of circle the wagons? Because I don't know if you guys know this, but going to a career expo fair doesn't count as professional development. So we're a career fair kind of, but we're just inspirational. We're the inspirational piece. So I had to create content around that would match for a teacher to be able to use to teach their students about it.
Yeah, I was thinking, that's a little bit different than what I was thinking. And I like your answer a lot. I was thinking more of just something for the kids that they can put on their applications to trade schools, like say I participated in this program, or just whatever. I know my kids, like with swimming, they give out like these little ribbons and like they go nuts, like they go ape over these ribbons. It's just wild how much they love these ribbons. And they're younger, so not even middle school age, but something like that. I mean, I just handing them something just makes it so real and exciting for a lot
I
of
like
kids.
that idea. You like that idea, Lee? What can we give the kids that tells them? Yeah. Well, we do give them hard hats. You know, there's that.
Key to their career, right? Something that, yeah.
Key to their career.
Yeah.
Give them a wrench or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Some drywall putty.
Yeah.
Right on.
So Joe, you saw the presentation before you had to log out?
I saw almost all of it. I tried to stay as long as I could, but I run a meeting every day at 9:15
Yeah.
for about 20 people. But I thought it went really well. I thought that you concentrated on what needed to be concentrated on. You did talk about, your ask and what you were looking for, and we're all here to help.
Yeah, thank you. So this is my shameless plug. This is the last slide in my presentation. We do this every Wednesday with 1 Million Cups in Metro Detroit. And so the presentations are not to pitch you, like to invest or to sell you something. It's to like showcase what we're trying to do and the problem we're trying to resolve and ask you guys for help and resources. And if you go to the Office Coffee Shop, a bunch of you who are in the Ferndale area, if you go to the Office Coffee Shop and just mention 1 Million Cups, you get a free cup of coffee. So just mention that and you can go and get
it's delicious.
Thank you.
it. Yes, the Office Coffee Shop is our official coffee sponsor for our group.
Hey, I should mention, as long as shamelessly plugging. So next week, we are going to be taking a field trip. We're going to another 1 Million Cups community, and they have a great presenter lined up. We'll be promoting where it is and who it is, but you'll come to the same login, and we'll wing our way virtually to another place in the United States where there's a great presenter lined up. And we're hoping to be doing those field trips every month on the first Wednesday. And that's actually an advantage of 1 Million Cups is there are over 140, maybe over 160 now, 1 Million Cups communities around the country. So we'll be staying within our time zone, but there's a bunch of them in the East and the South, all the way up and down the country. And so we're hoping to do that and just to expose our community to the rest of the country and the rest of the country to our community. So we had a great, we had a fellow on earlier who was apparently from Albany, New York, which is where we had our first field trip. And that was a terrific experience. So I hope folks will come back and join us next Wednesday for our virtual field trip.
Yeah, we're virtual on July 7th, and then on July 14th, we present from the Office Coffee Shop.
Right,
So
we'll be virtual and in real life.
Yep. So every second Wednesday, we're going to the Office Coffee Shop. And will I be there? I'm not going to be there this time, but we are coming virtually on the 7th to Fairfax, Virginia, right? Is it Fairfax?
No, it's Richmond.
Oh, Richmond, Virginia. So still Virginia.
Yeah, it is Virginia.
What am I doing on
A
this?
big and beautiful state.
Maybe I should drive down there. It's only an hour and a half from here. I have a cousin in Richmond. Do we all have cousins somewhere, right? All right. So, do we need to keep going? I feel like I got a lot out of this. I want to thank you guys all for coming, especially my friends. So thank you.
Pleasure meeting everybody. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. If you know anyone,
thank you.
Lee, Ken, any new businesses that want to present here, we're a happy bunch. We're very helpful. So pass them our way. It's very easy to apply to present. And again, it's not for pitching for an investment or a sale. It's literally saying, I've started this business. I'm 5 years or younger. I need to tell people about what I'm doing because I'm having problems with marketing, blah, 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 blah. And we all get together as a community and help them out.
Right.
It could be absolutely any type of business or any type of idea that needs a little bit of help to come down the pipe and start something or encouragement, whatever it is to get the organization going. So we're looking forward to it. And I think everything seems to be going really well with these weekly meetings. And I want to thank all the organizers for all the hard work that they've been putting in, because it's been a lot of work. So thank you, Melissa. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Mike. Thank Jason, and everyone else.
Thank you.
Okay, so and with that, great job, Melissa. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're going to get back roughly 5 minutes of our lives. But this was a terrific session this morning. Thank you for joining all across this beautiful land where we are.
Yes, thanks, Doug. All right, bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Tell
Yes.
your friends.
Good job, Melissa.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sheena.
Great job, Melissa.